Welcome everyone this morning to our news conference where we want to discuss the Martin Luther King Day Unity Day celebration that will be beginning in a few days. And it's not just one day anymore. Part of what we want to announce is that it will be a several day event. I want to apologize for the delay in getting started this morning. We had a little technical glitch, but that just means that we're living in the pandemic world of 2022. That there are technical glitches that seem to follow us or have followed us over these last couple of years. So do apologize for that, but we're thrilled to be here this morning talking with you. And I'm thrilled as the mayor of Toledo to be joined by Dr. Postal, who we're going to hear from in a moment. This partnership with the University of Toledo is one of the longest partnerships the city of Toledo has with any organization. It's one of the strongest and most fruitful, and I might say it's one of those events more so than any other in a calendar year that brings the community together. And we're so happy to once again be working with the University of Toledo on what is the 21st annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Day celebration. This year, as last year, it is going to be a virtual celebration. And while there is, and I think perhaps while we can lament not being able to physically be together at Savage Arena as we have for so many of the last 21 years, I think we would like to point out that last year going digital allowed us to celebrate with more people than we ever had before. There were 20,000 views on our media platforms, social media platforms, for our virtual celebration last year. And I know we've never had 20,000 people in that arena because though Dr. Postal can correct me, I don't know that the capacity is large enough to hold 20,000, maybe about half that size. So I know that we've never been able to squeeze 20,000 people in person to a celebration. So while there is perhaps an aspect of making lemonade out of lemons, I do think that there is a symbolic beauty perhaps in the fact that more people last year participated in what we did by going virtual, and we look forward to the same thing again this year. So we won't be in person, but we'll be virtual. And if last year's any guide, we'll be communicating our message of unity and service to more people that way. So that's what we want to emphasize. This year's theme is everyday activism. The notion that we don't want to follow Dr. King's words once a year or one weekend a year, but it's a challenge to ourselves to serve and do positive things for our community and our neighborhoods and our brothers and sisters every day. That's the theme that our speakers will be reinforcing, and the theme that will be attached to what for the first time is an entire experience, which is what we also want to announce. The first time ever, the Unity celebration is part of a whole MLK experience with events that will be happening all weekend long, not just on Monday. For instance, the Alpha Chi Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha, their MLK scholarship breakfast on Saturday, January 15th, 8:30 a.m. at the Pinnacle. So on Saturday, we start. Then there will be a call to service with the MLK 40 Days of Service Compassion Games in partnership with the Multi-Faith Council of Northwest Ohio, beginning January 17th and actually going throughout the month of February. That is something that we have never done before and gets us closer to this idea of everyday activism. And does it in sort of a fun, competitive model as well. So we're looking forward to that. We encourage everyone to call United Way's 211 and be an everyday activist by giving back and then recording their service hours. That's how these compassion games will work. And we're interested to see the sort of everyday activism that we can stoke by adopting this model. The virtual Unity Day celebration, of course, on Monday the 17th. The link will go live on the city's website, as well as our Human Relations Commission Facebook page at 10 a.m. BCAN, another wonderful community partner, will also be live streaming the celebration. But the weekend of events for the MLK experience doesn't end with the ceremony and program at 10 a.m. The Toledo Museum of Art will be open from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. and we'll have a number of MLK themed events all day for the public to enjoy. Our keynote speaker this year is Andre Gaines, who is an award-winning producer, director. Among the other works of his that you might be familiar with, Showtime's The One and Only Dick Gregory is a work of his. He's going to be with us sharing his thoughts. And it's fitting that Dick Gregory himself was a great activist and someone who sure was an entertainer, a comedian and an observer of public affairs and public life, but also believed in activism and advocacy for causes he believed in. So Andre Gaines has on Showtime produced a show about Dick Gregory. So if you don't know, if you're not of my age and don't know who a lot about the life of Dick Gregory, this would be an opportunity to learn more about our keynote speaker, but also more about a great activist who practiced everyday activism, as Martin Luther King Jr. would want us to do. So on behalf of the City of Toledo, we're thrilled again to be engaged in this partnership, 21 years now, and actually now putting our message before more eyeballs than ever before because of the necessity of moving toward a digital, non-in-person event. We look forward to it every year, and we're so happy to be joined by our friends at the University of Toledo. And now I would like to welcome the president of the University of Toledo to make some remarks, Dr. Postal.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for that introduction, Mayor Kapsakavich. The University of Toledo is delighted to participate in this event in partnership with the city. And this morning, of course, we're here to remind the community about this wonderful opportunity for all of you to participate as well next Monday, the 17th of January at 10 a.m. This Unity celebration is not only an opportunity to honor the impact of Dr. King's life, but also reminds us of our need to continue the work necessary to carry out his vision. I can assure you that the University of Toledo is very committed to this work, and the event Monday is not only an opportunity to celebrate Dr. King, but to remind us that we as individuals can make a difference. And I think it's so appropriate that this theme, everyday activism, has been chosen because it does a nice job of describing that opportunity that each of us has, not just on Martin Luther King Day, but every day throughout the year to continue the hard work that it takes to continue making progress and to commit to Dr. King's vision. Last year was my first year in Toledo, and I agree wholeheartedly with the mayor that the fact that we had to hold the event in a virtual format in no way took away from the significance of this celebration. I think all of you who watched the program last year will agree that it was very, very well produced. It was engaging. It was exciting to watch, and I think that contributed to the fact that so many people throughout our community took advantage of this and became part of the 20,000 person So while of course we would love to be together in person, I think that we'll be able to have a wonderful celebration virtually next week. And as the mayor said, this will be broadcast not only on the city's webpage, but you'll be able to access this through utoledo.edu/MLK. So there are a couple of very easy ways to log in and tune in to watch the celebration. We're looking forward to the keynote address by acclaimed producer Andre Gaines, who will help us understand more of the nuances of this concept of everyday activism. So our thanks to the city for our wonderful partnership in general, but certainly also around this event in particular. And also our thanks to the Human Rights Commission for your hard work and all the members of our UT team and the city's team who helped make this production possible. We'll look forward to seeing you next Monday. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Postal, and thank you for everything you do for our university and our community. We're better for your leadership and thankful for your friendship. I think we need Martin Luther King Jr.'s message more today, perhaps, than in many times since his death. What we're living through right now as a community, as a country, is a time of great challenge. And I think we all can be inspired by the lessons of his life. I always reflect on how not only how much difference he made, but how young he was when he made that difference. Even today, after all these years, were he not assassinated, he could still be alive. He would be in his early 90s, true, but so he'd be an older man, but he could still be alive with us, even after all these years. And that's because he didn't wait around to make a difference. He started doing it immediately. He led the Montgomery bus boycott when he was 26 years old. He won the Nobel Peace Prize when he was 34. He packed so much into 39 years of life. And that too, I think, is a lesson for all of us. We don't have to ask someone's permission. We don't have to serve an apprenticeship before we can serve. In fact, one of his great lines, of course, is anyone can be great because anyone can serve. So we're always excited to reacquaint ourselves with his life and his message this weekend. And we hope through our theme of everyday activism, we keep it going in our own lives all year long. As we open it up to any potential questions that our friends, guests, or members of the media may have, I feel compelled. I want to recognize the work of Aaron Baker, the chair of the Human Relations Commission, Malika Bell, who's the interim director of the University of Toledo's Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And I see that joining us is at least one, and I hope I'm not forgetting anyone, but I can at least see that's logged in as a participant this morning is one of our newest members of Toledo City Council, Dr. Michelle Grimm. She joins us, and I certainly want to thank her in addition to other members of our leadership team, the City of Toledo, Angel Tucker, Damon Williams, our acting fire chief, John Kaminsky, have all joined us this morning, and I want to thank them. So with that, I think we're going to throw it open for the possibility of questions. And I don't know who's acting as moderator, if that's Karen Maloney from our team or someone else. Okay, so again, we're excited and we look forward to everyone participating. So if anyone has questions, that's wonderful. If not, we hope to have a great day and a day of activism, each on our own way, because we want to do this year round.
Okay, if you have any questions, please raise your hand virtually, and we will unmute you so then you can ask your questions. When you ask your question, please identify yourself first and then ask your question. I'm not seeing any hands raised. Oh, I have one. Here we go.
Good morning, Mike Fairchild from NBC 24. I was wondering, certainly King's message is always important every year, but do you think it's more important now with all the issues with voters' rights, especially in Georgia, and the issues with voting being made more difficult? Thank you.
Well, I do, and actually, in my final remarks, I did make that point, and to the extent this is maybe a little more of a political question, I'll jump toward it so Dr. Postal doesn't have to. But absolutely, let's not forget that many of the legislative victories that Dr. King led in his short life are now being overturned by the Supreme Court and by Congress. The Voting Rights Act, for instance, which he was crucial in advocating for and passing, has essentially been thrown out by the Supreme Court in a landmark case a couple years ago. That's just one example of the need in today's world to continue the fight. So much of the legislative agenda of especially the mid-1960s, when Dr. King, this is right after he had won his Nobel Prize, when he was leading the March on Washington. So much of that now, after 55, 60 years, there's a sense, in my judgment, an incorrect sense, that the work is done. We don't need a Voting Rights Act anymore. And it's starting to be overturned and chipped away at. And so you bet, now more than ever, when voting rights are under attack, in my judgment, in some ways, when democracy itself is under attack, in my judgment, you bet this is a time when we should all reflect on the work he did and the everyday work we can all do to bring about, justice, peace, prosperity for all of us. And that's just on one menu of issues. I think you could argue that in the pandemic that we're going through, which has affected all of us, of course, but I think it has exacerbated the inequities that have long existed in areas such as healthcare, housing, access to jobs for communities of color, and people from groups that have long been disinvested. So I think the pandemic also has highlighted the work that needs to be done. So absolutely, I think in the current environment and just the undercurrent of division that is in our country right now, for whatever reason, whoever you want to blame for it, I think we can all agree we're not as united as we could be. Our union is not as perfect as the founding fathers dreamed. That too is a moment where we can reflect on, I suppose as Lincoln said, the better angels of our nature and the work of Dr. King. So very long-winded answer, but I agree. I absolutely think that today's times call out for Dr. King's message of unity and activism.
And I would just add to Mayor's comments that that's precisely the reason why we chose the theme that we did, and we selected the keynote speaker that we did with Andre Gaines, who is grew up here in Toledo. We wanted to make sure that we honored individuals from our area who have gone on and is truly living out everyday activism, and him bringing a greater awareness around the work of Dick Gregory, who I think is a perfect example of an individual during MLK's times specifically did do what he needed to do to step up as a member of the community to raise greater awareness around voter rights specifically. We'll talk about it a little bit more in the keynote speaker address, but we also really want to encourage folks beyond Monday, beyond this weekend, to engage in conversation, engage in activism, engage in service. And one way we're going to do that is events, again, beyond the weekend, including the screening of the one and only Dick Gregory, where people will be able to see firsthand him doing hunger strikes specifically to raise awareness around the importance of voters' rights, him engaging with college students, which obviously, as Bear talked about, this 21-year relationship the city has had with the University of Toledo, the importance of this next generation to step up and raise awareness so that we aren't eradicating all of the work that have been done on pioneers such as Dick Gregory and MLK towards voters' rights, towards a true democracy. And so we want to be able to ensure that individuals are stepping up and stepping out and speaking out specifically around everyday activism, because everybody can do their part to make our community better and fair and make sure that we all are receiving the just opportunities that we deserve.
Okay, we have Angel Tucker, you had a question, your hand was raised. Do you still have a question? Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? We will be, oh, Angel?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a technical issue. With the awareness that we speak of, which is important, and I'm glad we're doing it, wouldn't it be much easier and beneficial for us to keep the awareness raised through our younger generations by amending the history books to reflect proper history and some of the things throughout history that we try to correct now? Wouldn't it be easier to do it through the younger generations by amending the history books? And if so, how would we go about doing that?
That is a question that I have never gotten before, but it's a good one. I don't know if this is the time or the forum to sort of ponder that. There is especially at the younger grades, I know that there is an ideological battle at the school board level all around the country, and especially in states like Texas, where the textbooks that are used throughout the country often come from Texas and sometimes California. And so over the years, there's really been an investment by ideological folks to sort of take over school boards and the Texas State Board of Education to make sure that the history that is being put in these textbooks that help educate our youngest kids, second, third, fourth, fifth graders, comes at it from an ideological perspective. That's obviously not something that I think is a helpful development in the education of our nation over the last few decades. But I think you're talking about an issue that large, and you talk about peeling back the onion, there's a lot of pieces of it. So I think at the end of the day, local activism, again, everyday activism is where it starts. But yeah, I think there has been a concerted effort over the years to, in ways that often maybe perhaps are under the radar screen. We all pay attention during presidential elections. We all pay attention during the big national elections. But there have been groups, in plain sight, but relatively quietly focusing on local school board elections to help shape academic agendas over time. And I think if we're unhappy with that movement, the way to stop it is through our own local activism. And perhaps that's the perfect way to end our thoughts here today. Is, again, comes back to everyday activism. In this case, I think local focus on local issues. I don't know, Dr. Postal, I kind of veered into academia there a little bit, but that's, so I hope my answer wasn't too off base, but.
No, I think your answer was fine, Mayor. The key is that all of us have the ability to make good decisions and to influence the future and to make the future better and brighter. I don't know how you change things that happened in the past. Personally, I don't think you can. What's past is past. As educators, on one level, we feel that teaching people about things that happened in the past, particularly things that weren't good or things that weren't done well, is a great way to prevent them from occurring again, and a great way to learn from mistakes of the past. And so, our emphasis is on the future, because that we do have control over.
I would also like to add that one of the ways that we can inspire everyday activism in the young people in our community is by involving them in this annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Day celebration. I know the planning committee focuses a lot on ways to involve young people in our community and to engage young people in our community. In addition, every year we do give away, thanks to the help of ProMedica, we do give away scholarships to University of Toledo undergraduate students. And in all of these small ways, because that's what we're talking about, right? Everyday activism. It's in these small ways that we can inspire and encourage and enlighten the young people in our community so that they can, grow up and even in their youth be everyday activists. So I think that's the place where we can tap in and make sure that we, keep things moving in a positive direction.
And I probably would just be remiss as the Director of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion for the Toledo Lucas County Public Library and not say having a shameless plug to utilize your public libraries. Every youth should have a library card, and we will be having conversations, discussions, specifically texts written by Dick Gregory, who very unabashedly told the truth, his truths about history that you wouldn't necessarily traditionally find in textbooks. And so I would definitely encourage our youth to tune in, to be a part of the conversation. They are featured in our performances, but also engage in your public library programs, attend the film screenings that will be going on at the Art Museum, on the university campus, and in the library spaces of the one and only Dick Gregory, so that you can see how you could be a part of it. And again, get a library card, engage with your library staff, because they are the one place that you can definitely go to be sure that you're not getting any misinformation, because they are rooted in truths and promoting the democracy of our country.
Okay, thank you, everybody. You were just sent the link to find out more information in the chat. We will also have this up on the Human Relations Commission Facebook page. So if you have questions, please let us know. But I think that's going to be it for everyone. Thank you so much for participating today. We really appreciate it.